Welcome to my podcast. Today's dream, tomorrow's reality. My name is Vicki Poole. I'm a master transformational coach and hypnotist specializing in habit change. And this podcast is sponsored by the Enlightened Peach. And this podcast is all about embracing our mosaic life. Well, some of you may ask, what is a mosaic life anyway? Well, it is recognizing that all the pieces of our life, the good, the bad, the indifferent, have all come together to make us who we are. You change any one thing, and we are different. With that in mind, I invite you to embrace your perceived imperfections and celebrate who you are. This podcast is unedited and raw, just like life. And I am your host, and I have a special guest I'll introduce in just a moment. Before I do, I would love to ask you to do me a solid, and then is to leave a comment and remember to like, subscribe, and share. So now let's get started. So well, let me move this out of my way so I can see this lovely lady. This is Kim Baker, and we know each other because we're in some of the same circles, and it's just been beautiful to invite her to come onto the podcast. So I'm going to let her give you just a little brief tell you a little bit about her, and then we will get into having a conversation. So go ahead, Kim. Let them know who you
Hi,
are.
Vicki. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast today. Really appreciate it. And just a little bit about me. I'm 59, will be 60 in October, and I have recently found my voice, and I am doing different, which is my mantra. I'm a trusted Prairian, and I'm a community liaison for Modern Prairie, which is led by Nicole Haas and Melissa Gilbert. They are the co-CEOs, co-founders. And I have my own podcast, which is called Heart Minded Pocket Heroes, which is on Spotify right now. I'm working on getting it on YouTube. And I'm a promoter for all circles on Modern Prairie via IG, Instagram, and my podcast. And you can find me at Prairie and Kimmy Baker on IG. I am right now, my goal is to bring heart minded women over the age of 50 together to discuss doing different. And I'm glad that you said that earlier. You said the word different, and that is what we do. We're doing different. And I help them to find their voices so they can be heard and seen because some of us have been invisible for way too long. So it's our time now, and our age does not define us because we're just getting started.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. Thanks for sharing that. Well, I want to get to know you a little better. So let's go way back in time. Uh, because
Oh no.
yes, way back in time. I would love to know what kind of started you on this path of being who you are right now.
Oh boy. Well, going back to 2020 isn't that far back, but all my life, I grew up French in an Irish town and was extremely bullied to the point where I hated my heritage, I hated my ethnicity, and I mentally blocked out speaking French. I didn't know how to speak English till I was 7 or 8.
Hmm.
And I had a learning disability that nobody knew about. It wasn't normal back then to test.
Hmm.
And so I never read a
Were
book.
you dyslexic?
Mm, no, I lived on the edge. It was fight or flight for me my entire
Hmm.
childhood,
Hmm.
and I lived in an alcoholic home, but my parents were very loving. It's just that the chemistry between them, there was a lot of arguments and stuff. And I was the baby. Everybody else was 15, 13, and 11 years older than me. I have three siblings. So I grew up alone basically. And I was just in fear all the time of being abandoned for a night or if they
Right.
went out to party or whatever. But anyway, getting back to growing up French. So I was stifled to speak my language. And so I started speaking English and never looked back. I still understand it. My 94-year-old mom speaks it to me. But I felt ashamed of who I was. And I'm going to be writing my memoir, which is going to be called Growing Up French in an Irish Town. And for some reason, the discrimination against me was caused by Irish people. I don't know what it was. We had moved from a French town in Maine to an Irish town in Maine. And back then in the 60s, there was something going on, and I was a child, so I don't know what it was, but
Right.
everybody hated the French in that particular town. So I didn't have a voice. I felt invisible. I felt scared. And so, fast forward to teenhood. I got married at 16, not because I had to, but because I wanted to get out of the house. I got divorced at 18, and that started my path into a career of bartending.
Hmm.
And also, I became addicted to cocaine and drugs and alcohol. And I ended up in a couple of Betty Ford clinics during that time. I was very young. I was only 18. Um, and that helped me. And so I got sober. It's amazing that I only that first year that I even experimented with anything, I got addicted, but it
But
didn't last for very,
that's one of the things that a lot of people don't understand. Sometimes the difference between not addicted and addicted is only one try.
that's right.
And it
That's
depends on
right.
the drug too, and it depends on the system and how predisposed you are to being that. And your parents were alcoholics, so you
Hmm.
probably had a little bit more system that would pop you into the addiction.
Exactly. And the depression and the hurt from the divorce and um the adultery and all of that just really sent me over the edge. And I was just really wanting to drown myself. I hated drinking. I was a bartender, but I'd force myself to drink after my shift. And then somebody introduced me to marijuana. That's how it started. And I was raped. They laced it with angel dust or PCP. And that night I got raped. And then from that moment forward, people would leave me Coke under napkins for tips. And so I would start doing that. So that was my drug of choice. But then I got sober, met a guy in rehab, which is not a good idea to date anybody for a whole year at
Right.
least, became engaged. And at that time, my parents moved to Florida, which changed my entire life. It was a culture shock. I could have stayed with my fiance in Maine, but I was 19. I wanted to explore too and come to Florida. And it was a huge culture shock. And so that
What was the
did some.
biggest culture shock that you experienced from
Oh my
moving
gosh, the
there?
population and the flatland. I mean, there
Ah.
were no hills, there were no curves. Everything was north, south, east, west. I hate the beach. I'm sorry, everybody. You love the nice beaches, but I hate the beach.
Well, Florida's
I
not the
mean,
right
even
place for you then, right?
no, it's not. And I've been here for a very long time,
Yeah.
since 85. But even as a baby, my mother said that when we lived at the beach in Maine for 1 year, they were renting a house. She could not go out on the beach to sunbathe. Even though she put me in a playpen, if there was any sand that got into that playpen, I would have a nervous breakdown. So there's something with
The
texture
texture. Yeah,
or
yeah.
something. And my daughter loves the beach. She lived at the beach, and everything got ruined during these two past hurricanes that we had. Horrible disaster down here. But anyway, so I'm down here, and we broke up, my fiance and I. And then I started bartending again in Tampa, but did not get addicted to any more drugs, never went back to it.
Good.
Dabbled a little bit with the drinking, and but that was about it. And so in 89, um, oh, I did go up to the Berkshires in Massachusetts to help my brother with his restaurants and open them up and get them going. And then I came back down here, and in 89, I met my current husband. We've been married 34 years, February 17th. I'm sorry, 35 years. Oh my gosh.
Mm.
Wow. And we have two kids, Caleb 30 and Mariah Faith, who's 25, and she's married, no children. My son is single. He lives on the property. He's got a lot of disabilities. Uh, he's a 911 dispatcher, so I'm really proud of him. And my daughter is a mathematician. She teaches algebra honors to high schoolers. So
Wow.
don't know where she got it. That was a fluke. I have, but a blessing.
Maybe it skips a generation or something.
Not on my side, because my side are all country bumpkins. My parents quit school in ninth grade.
Well, maybe
Dad,
it has to start somewhere. It started with her, right?
yeah, and, exactly. I think so. She had a hard time though with it, but she pushed herself and she did it, and I'm really proud of her. But so basically, what happened is when my daughter and I had a falling out in 2019, and she moved out in the middle of the night, I guess, because when I woke up, I looked in her room and everything was tidy and
How old was
folded
she
and
then?
19,
19? Okay.
19. And she had never had a boyfriend before. And she had met this guy through college, really nice guy, pastor's son, and he also taught Bible classes at the college, but didn't attend the college, but he was having like a Bible club or something, and she was in a math club. And so they met, and um, I was really happy for her. And but when they started talking marriage, like within a month, I started getting triggered because of
Mm,
what I went through at
right.
16. And I started saying, well, you're not done college yet. You can't, you don't even know this guy. I know he comes from a good family, but you know, please don't talk about marriage right now. You need to finish your college. I taught you kids to go to, I wanted you guys to go to college so you can be independent. And my mind went to, oh no, you're going to be barefoot and pregnant. That's what my mom would tell me. And um, so we had
Isn't
some
it funny
arguments.
how things start happening and all of a sudden one of our parents' voices are in our head saying those things
Yes,
to us and it just triggers
yes,
us. So when we're doing
all the
all of
time.
that, it's all of the programming
A
that we've
junk,
had, right?
the junk. Yeah,
Yeah.
the oh, what do you call it? Dysfunction. And
Yeah.
and they got it from their parents, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't blame them because they didn't have the tools. My father's a World War II veteran. He fought in the war, and my mom was a singer, and she gave her career up to marry my dad. And they're good people. They just didn't know. They were young. She was 17 when she married him, and he was 21, and 18 was her first child came along. So kids don't come with a manual. And back then, even in our culture as French people, um, you do what you want to do. I mean, there's nothing wrong in fighting, and there's nothing wrong in fighting in front of the kids. And it just isn't like today, like, oh no, don't go to your room and then you have a discussion with your husband. It's not like that. You have a discussion or a fight with your husband in front of your child, and it's okay. It's not frowned upon, but that was back then. And now, as we're learning, yes, it does damage the psyche. So anyway, getting back to this situation, that's what threw me over the edge. And she shut off her phone. So I took her phone off plan because I got so upset. But when she took me off of her phone or shut off her phone, and I didn't know, it took a while. It took a couple of weeks for me to do that because I didn't know where she was. And then she got another phone, but never gave me her number. And I didn't know where she was for 5 months.
Mm.
I didn't know if she was safe. I didn't know if she was living with his parents. I didn't know where she was. And so when a mom goes through that, she's smart. So I kind of knew that she would be okay. But still, I felt emotionally abused, and I felt that what I was worried about is what any mother would be concerned and worried about, especially a daughter who's never had a boyfriend ever and who is in college. And it just hit me. It just broadsided me. I didn't know what to do and how to handle it. And so a friend of hers, gave me her phone number. And so I kept that a secret. I knew her phone number, so that was good, just in case if something happened to me and my husband, I'd be able to call. But it wasn't until I put out an invitation for Christmas cookie making on Facebook that she replied and said she'd like to come.
Oh,
And so that kind of opened the doors, and we started talking, and things we'd get together for holidays only. Now, mind you, we were very close. She was my best friend, and I don't recommend that you have a child for a best friend.
right.
Um, I know a lot of people do. That's not good. Your husband should be your best friend, but that's a whole other issue. So I made her my best friend and I adored her and we did everything together. And then she's gone. And so that I went down a spiral. So at that point, I said, I can either give up on everything and just let myself go, everything, or I can do something. And I started a vlog on Facebook. It was a devotional study. And I also took a parapro test. I applied for a job at an elementary school to be an assistant teacher. Now, I only have my GED and I've never taken algebra in my entire life. I quit school in 11th grade. And like I said, I had some learning disabilities. I went for a parapro test. I studied for 2 weeks. That's it. And I aced it above average. And I was hired as the
Oh,
assistant teacher.
how
Yeah, of it.
exciting.
And yeah, so I was really excited. And I remember texting my daughter saying, I did it. I did it. And she said, well, that level is only like maybe fifth grade or sixth grade algebra. And I said, I don't really care because I never did algebra in my life, or it wasn't fifth or sixth, it's seventh grade.
Yeah.
So anyway, I was happy. I was assistant teacher, was doing my vlog. I had lost a ton of weight, like 50 pounds, which I need to do again. And I was just so happy. And then COVID hit.
Hmm.
And then of course, I was still struggling. I mean, I can say that I was happy with my growth, but internally I was dying because I didn't have that relationship with my daughter anymore.
Yeah.
I knew where she was now. No, actually, I didn't know where she lived. She didn't tell me that until the day of her wedding, a year later, when she brought me there for the little reception. And that's the first time I saw where she lived, which was with a nice elderly couple from his church. But um, I mourned, I grieved the loss of my relationship the way that it was. It wasn't
Yeah.
the same. And it's like a death. It really was. I mean, I grieved really bad. And so, anyway, COVID hit, lost my job. They laid off a bunch of people. And I kept doing my vlog. But it got to the point where the depression was, and I suffer from depression and anxiety as well as OCD and PTSD, which is what we talk about on my podcast as well. And I just didn't know what I was going to do anymore. And so I started scrolling through Facebook, Instagram. I saw Modern Prairie and I joined. And I found a community of like hearted, not like minded, because we're all different and we all have different beliefs. We don't discuss politics because that brings on debates. But I found this community of people who were suffering just like me. They were suffering with empty nesting, abandonment issues, PTSD, OCD, and empty nesters. Did I say that? um, just a lot of grief, and I could relate. And so that just started the whole, and I was a Facebook influencer for a while, in the Christian sect
Hmm.
of the Facebook groups and stuff. And I also had some of my own Facebook groups. And I was also a moderator of my own marketplace group. And that was before marketplace ever happened. That was when we just had sale groups and you had to create your own or join others. And, so I had like about 24,000 people that I was moderating on there, and it was too much. So I had to archive it for a while. And so then I started following Modern Prairie and I started getting involved, just as heavily involved as I was on Facebook. And Facebook kind of took a back seat, and I just embraced Modern Prairie and loved all of the everything that they had to offer. And the circles keep growing.
Hmm.
I mean, we have so many circles for so many different interests for people. And we have quilting circles, and we have book clubs and traveler circles, and
Well, for
um,
anybody that's not
anything.
familiar with Modern Prairie, maybe you could just give them a little bit of an idea of what Modern Prairie is and how it kind of works.
Okay, well, Modern Prairie is all about community, connection, and creativity. That's what they stand on. They also have their line of clothing and their line of pottery and everything, which is absolutely awesome. Um, and that is connect their website has the offer of the app on their website.
Hmm.
Their website is different than the app, but when you get on their website, if you want to join the app, then that is a whole community that just absolutely loves Little House on the Prairie, which Melissa Gilbert starred as Laura Ingalls in Little House on the Prairie. And so when Modern Prairie came about, everybody who was a fan just absolutely loved it. I mean, it was the best thing that ever happened, and it's still the best thing for all of those who grew up at Little House on the Prairie. But even um, the younger generation even is watching those
Hmm.
episodes still today,
Yeah, yeah.
and their moms and grandmothers and everything they're joining in, and it's just such a great community. um so basically it's for 50 years old and older. um and we try to encourage one another, and that's what I like to do is I have the gift of encouragement, and I also am very very energetic and very active on the app, and which is why I am now a trusted prairie and a community liaison with them. And like I said, they're all about community, connection, and creativity. And we're all different. We have those, different, we do different things, but yet there's a connection there because emotionally, we're all going through something, right? We're all
Yeah.
doing different. And it's hard to do different. It's very, very hard to do different. And that's what I learned for these last 6 years is how do you live with doing different? So what's happening on Modern Prairie is we're reinventing ourselves. We're finding our voices and we're following our hearts and we're reinventing who we are and we're doing self-care. Um, we've all lived for other people, whether it be a husband or a spouse or children. We're at the age where we're caregivers for our parents. We're at the age that we're empty nesters. We're in the middle, and some of us have lost who we are, and we're trying to find ourselves again and rediscover and reinvent ourselves. And so there's so much available for us to do. And what happened is um, groups led by mine and your friend Stacy Lauren, my friend too, and Laura Carney, who's the author of My Father's List.
She's been
They
on the
did a
podcast
challenge.
too. Laura
Yes,
has, yeah.
yes, yes. And they did a challenge this couple months ago on Modern Prairie in the Pioneer Project Circle, and it was called Follow Your Heart. Lisa Carney went ahead and she led that. And I was a leader in one of the small groups. There were like maybe 12 of us leaders, maybe. And now we all have a little group of our own just for the leaders on chat. So that's growing too. But those small groups, they help me to continue my desire to have my own podcast because I didn't make it for the first one that they had, but the second one was Find Your Voice. And the third one that just happened was Follow Your Heart. Between those two challenges, which a lot of them are get in the picture. That's hashtag get in the picture is through Modern Prairie, but we were doing that through the challenge as well. And that was really hard for a lot of us. And especially me, I didn't, I mean, I did a vlog, yes, but that was 6 years ago. This was different now. And so that helped us to break out of our shells. And a lot of us, uh, you know, showed an interest in writing memoirs, doing podcasts. And that's when I showed my interest. And then Stacy Lauren, she went ahead and interviewed me and she got the ball rolling. And I'm so happy that she did. So
Well,
right
she's the
now, my
reason I have a
desire,
podcast too.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because we need to find our voice and we need to share, and we're not invisible just because we're over 50 or over 40, it doesn't matter. We're not invisible. In Modern Prairie, I'm constantly encouraging the Prairians that I see you, we hear you. You're not invisible, you're special. Um, I encourage them to find their voice. And that's what my podcast is all about. I want to keep that momentum going through interviewing the Prairians
Mm-hmm.
on our app, and also interviewing the trusted Prairians that lead the circles. Um, like I said, they have a book club where we meet the authors, and the Travelers Club and the Quilting Club, which right now we're working
So
on
let
a
me let me ask a
community
question
project.
though, if you don't mind. So
Oh, fine.
most of this is on online space, not in person, right? Or is
Right,
there
but we're
some in
working.
person too?
Yes, we're working on getting this September we're going to be having we're right now we're involved in the friendship quilt, which anybody who signs up can make 1 or 3 blocks of a quilt and then send it to Tiffany, who is the leader of the quilting group. And she'll put it together as a quilt or 2 quilts or 3 quilts and bring it over to, in September, over to the Garden of Quilts in Utah. And I'm hoping to go because I want to meet a lot of the Prairians in that area and whoever else is going. I want to meet our founders. And so I'm really excited about that. And I believe that right now, admin is working on doing some Prairian meetups in local venues, local cities. I have a couple Prairians down here in Florida. I'll be getting together with one of them at the end of this month. We're going to be going to Disney. And
Nice.
so there have been a lot. The Travelers Group, is led by 2 ladies that happen to communicate with each other over chat on Modern Prairie, and met up and discovered that they both love traveling and they have a lot to say about it, and they are collaborating now and created the Travelers
Beautiful.
Circle.
Beautiful.
So yeah, so
Yeah. Well,
we're really
um,
growing.
it was last year in September, I think it was. August or September, I can't remember when Stacy had her did her TED Talk. Quite a lot of us went to San Diego to see her TED Talk. Now we had
Oh
been
wow.
online friends in the groups and everything, but it was just the most amazing experience because when um when we met each other, it's like we had known each other in person forever, but we had never been in physical space with each other. And it just felt like coming home. And so
Yeah,
it's amazing, how we can get these relationships going online and they translate so well into our everyday physical experience too, because there's
yep,
like there, even though we're not in the same room together, it feels like we're in the same room together. And so
right.
I have been blown away. That was my really first big experience of seeing how it felt. Um, and then since then, I've met quite a few people that have been in my online space, and then I've met them in person, and it's just glorious every single time. That's why I was
Is
curious whether you had in person or if it was all online. But it sounds like it's going to be an amazing mix of it as going forward, right?
Yes, yes, and it's going to continue. It's only growing, and it's growing and growing and growing. We're getting more circles. and having more events and more in-person events, which is awesome. We have a couple of Prairians that are even modeling the clothing now,
Oh,
which is a
nice.
great outreach to the community in that area. And so we're very, very involved within our community. Um, we're all working together. We're all collaborating together. People are growing. People are finding their voices. People, like I said, some are modeling clothing, and we're all doing the quilt. Not all of us are doing the quilting, but a lot of us are. And then we'll get together at Garden of Quilts in September, and then locally they're going to be trying to find other states to get involved and to have meetups, meet and greet and stuff like that. So
Beautiful, beautiful.
we even have a tea event every month, Thursday, tea Thursdays. And that's really fun learning about different teas. I make my own herbal teas. I have my own herbal garden. And I'm into homeopathic and apothecary. I've taken some classes in that. And I have a big garden out in the back. And so I'm all into that stuff.
Beautiful. I love that.
But yeah, it's a great community and it's getting closer. And I guess we're about like 3 years old now.
Hmm.
So, and it's grown so much. So, um, there were people on we're supportive for them. I've created a birthday list. I have a database for birthdays, and I'm always collecting people's birthdays so that we can celebrate their special days. I also will put out a checkup, a Prairian checkup list, a checkup on all of those who have requested prayer, positive thoughts, going through cancer. And there's so many. There are so many that have been diagnosed with cancer, so many who have lost a spouse. Um, it's it's heart-wrenching. And so I always make sure that I'm checking up on them. I'm motivating others to encourage them. And sometimes I don't even have to encourage them because the Prairians are already like right there. They got your
Yeah.
back, but I just want to make sure that these hurting Prairians are seen. They're
Right.
heard, they're seen, and everybody has a different amount of followers. It's just like Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
So not everybody sees everybody's post.
I gotcha. Yeah.
Everybody's,
That makes a
but
lot of
everybody
sense.
sees, yeah, but everybody sees the admin's post, which is the most important, is when
Okay.
Melissa posts or Nicole posts or Brittany posts, that's the most important thing right there. And so everybody lands on the welcoming page and everybody gets to see the announcements. But as far as when a Prairian post and Heart to Heart, which is Sandy Peckinpah's circle, and which is Melissa Gilbert's best friend, and she is great with grief counseling,
Mm-hmm.
not really grief advising,
Yeah.
because she says she's not a counselor, but she has taken some courses in grief, um, expertise. And so she has like twice a month, she has these group meetings, which are phenomenal. And they've helped so many people in the
Well,
grief process.
one of the things that helps more people that are grieving than anything is somebody that'll listen.
Yes.
That is such an amazing gift because a lot of people only listen with the attention of what am I going to say next? What can I tell them? What can I do this? But somebody that just genuinely listens, and it sounds like that's probably one of the things that she has a gift of, right? When
Yes.
you can listen and just honor what somebody's feeling, it just gives people, especially going through a grieving process, the space to just let it out without somebody telling them, oh, you should be over it by now. You need to do this, you need to do that. And so it sounds like a beautiful thing.
And she just lost her husband,
Mm.
I think maybe 6 months ago or five
So
months
she's
ago.
she's in there feeling it too, right?
Essence. So she's very good, and she has a couple of books out too, and so she's very, very good. And so um when you're seeing and people are dealing with chronic pain, I deal with chronic pain and kidney issues, and there's always a post to support. Um people, we did have a pen pal group, but that kind of subsided for now. But people are still um, message, emailing, and also snail mailing each
Hmm.
other
Yeah.
and sending little gifts, little
Nice.
tokens.
Yeah.
Um, it's really nice to see how much the community has bloomed, and we just have embraced this. It's a phenomenal. I mean, a phenomena. I told Nicole that this is going to get really big. This
Hmm.
is going to probably, I don't know if it'll ever get as big as Facebook, but
You
this is
never
growing.
know.
This is growing in
Well, let
bounds.
me let me ask you a question. So, all the things that you just told us about with Modern Prairie and all the things that you've been dealing with through your life and everything, I can tell that Modern Prairie has definitely swooped in and been the thing that's really got your heart in a good place, right?
Yes.
So when you think about it, what is the main thing that you feel like you get out of being part of that community?
The main thing that I get out of the community is I don't know if it's what I'm doing that's helping me, because it's in my nature to encourage others. But the most thing that I'm getting from the community is friendship, which is something that I lacked. My daughter was my friend. My husband's my friend too, but he works a lot. My son is also my friend. I'm talking about girlfriends,
Right.
people who can relate to what I'm going through, and it's relatable. It's
Yeah.
definitely relatable, and there's something special. I Like I said, it's a phenomena because on Facebook, no matter how many times I posted my garden, no matter how many times I posted a home remedy or anything about myself or my interests, you didn't get anybody that really cared. I mean, you get a lot of likes, or I got a lot of likes, but in this community, you get a response
Nice.
and people friending you and people chatting with you and people joining the same groups as you. And like I said, some are meeting up. And so it's a phenomena. We stand on kindness and non-judgmentalness. So that's a plus. That's something that Facebook does not have. And we make sure too that the public knows it's women over the age of 50, aging gracefully, and I like to say doing different.
Hmm.
And so the population out there knows that that's what we're about. So it's just a community of women just aging gracefully. And I have to say, I guess that would be the most important thing because I've really had a hard time with aging.
Hmm.
And when Stacey Lauren did Find Your Voice, and we did get in the picture, and I saw other women that are also aging gracefully, it helped me to get in the picture and to say, okay, I'm going to be
Beautiful.
okay. I'm not this old lady that's fading away with no friends.
Right, right,
So
right.
it's made a
And that's
big
definitely
difference in
not
my
you.
life.
You are not fading away. You're not looking old. So just stop that. Get that out of your vocabulary because that is not you. Um, so what I wanted you to ask you now is, because we're getting close to time, if you could share with everybody if they're interested in diving in a little bit into Modern Prairie, how would they go about that? And we will be like I will put the description in the show notes that will have your links and everything. So, but if you could tell them, and if you've got a link just for you or if it's just for Modern Prairie, I don't know how all that works, but go ahead and
No,
share that.
No, it's just Modern Prairie
Okay.
official. On Instagram, it's official Modern Prairie, and on Facebook, it's also official Modern Prairie. You can hashtag Modern Prairie, and it'll bring you to all things Modern Prairie. But it's the official modernprairie.com. And when you get on there, there's all kinds of different links to from Q&As to anything that you want to explore, all about the different um, clothing lines and the different pottery. And there's so much more than that as well. And then they offer the community app. And so, and then you can just go on there and register. It's all free. All the circles are free. We even have free recipes that Melissa puts on. She's got a blog. It's
Hmm.
called Melissa's Corner, and that's also accessible through the internet, just through Modern Prairie, official modernprairie.com.
So is
And
all of Modern Prairie free then?
what's that?
Is all of Modern Prairie free?
Um, most of it is free
Hmm.
unless you want to join quilting and you
Okay.
want that'll be paying for a course. Better Than Store Bought, head by Chef Cheryl, is also a small cooking course that you can take. But for the majority of the
Well,
circles,
just not
like
to interrupt, even though I know I am.
that's okay.
Well, when you're talking about the quilting thing, that's intriguing because I'm not interested in quilting, but my sister is, and she took a local course, and she said that she really didn't get anything from it. That people were just sitting around talking and they weren't really learning, and she wanted to know specific things. So I think I will tell her about Modern Prairie, and maybe she will go and check it out and see if that's something she might want to do.
Absolutely, because Tiffany, who has her own quilting business, she is the leader of the quilting group, and she is just phenomenal. And we've got like a right now we're doing a 9 patch, a bear claw, and a log cabin patterns and blocks. And so she's just phenomenal. She's a great teacher. We have the lessons recorded, so
Hmm.
up to a year. So if you do join in the quilting class, you have those lessons for up to a year. There's no time frame. You're not rushed to get it done
Right,
by
right.
like in
So
three
what is it?
weeks.
Did you say it's just the website is
It's
just modernprairie.com?
it's Modern Prairie. I'm going to make sure right now because I know that on Instagram, it's official Modern Prairie. But if you go to, yeah, it's modernprairie.com
Okay,
on the internet, it's modernprairie.com.
beautiful.
And you will see, oh, I don't know if you can see it or
Yeah, I
not.
can't see.
No, you can't.
There's too much of
But
a glare.
it's on Instagram that it's official Modern
Okay,
Prairie.
all right. Because I
And
want to make sure that I can give her that information later today when I talk to her.
right. And then she can just search and see all the different groups. We have, like I said, the quilting group led by Tiffany, and that is a course. And then we also have meetings. So we have once a week, we'll have a meeting. If you've joined a quilting course, she does a meeting with us, a Zoom meeting to make sure if we have any questions about this, anything that we're dealing with, and which is really nice. And like I said, the lessons are right there on the screen for you to follow, and you have access to it. And so there's no pressure. It's very easygoing. She's extremely nice. And
Well, I need to tell my niece about this too because now she probably won't do that. She has muscular dystrophy, so she doesn't have the hand dexterity to do anything like that.
right.
But she grew up with Melissa Gilbert, and Little House on the Prairie was one of her favorite shows, and she still
Oh my
watches some of them
gosh.
today. So I
Oh
need
my
to
gosh.
let her know and let her go on there and just do it. So will she be able to see Melissa Gilbert on there?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, okay. Well, she
Melissa
will be
has her own.
happy.
What's that?
I said she'll be happy.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Because Melissa has her own corner, her own blog. She makes periodic announcements. If you follow her on the app, you'll see the things that she posts. Right today, she's doing a photo shoot with Nicole. And so she's for our summer line. And so, yeah, and we just had a Ask Melissa Anything Zoom on
Oh,
Friday night which
Oh,
was really exciting.
yeah.
And there was over 200. I don't know if they were all prairie. Well, yes, they had to have been all prairians because you can only get into it, I believe, through the app. But it was announced on modernprairie.com as well. But um, yeah, so we had over 200 prairians, and they started something where you spin the wheel and it lands on a name, and then you ask a question because it's a lot easier that way. And it was
Yeah.
just so much fun, and people just love speaking with her, and
Mm-hmm.
she's such a joy. Um, I also want to mention, besides the quilting, if your your friends or your sister or your family want to, they can't, or they don't want to pay for it or whatever for the course. There's also once a month we have a craft Zoom with my friend Becky, and she's really really good. And what a matter of fact, this is one of her projects that
Oh, how cute.
she taught us how to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so last week, I believe, was and this is the modern prairie fabric too, by the way,
Okay.
that we work with when we're quilting. Um, so she has that about once a month. I'm getting my schedule right now. Hold on. So once a month we have that craft class, and I'm trying to see what the next one is. Um, I don't have it written down right now.
Well,
But
that's
anyway,
okay.
I
People
make
can
the
go to the
announcements.
website and then they can find out all the information for
Yeah,
that,
and
right?
I'm not the only one that makes the announcements. I mean, Modern Prairie does the main announcements, but for those who follow me on Modern Prairie, I make sure that I'm promoting and I'm making the announcements for the next classes coming up. So, craft, you'll find her on the craft circle. She's
Okay.
on the craft circle, and we make announcements when her craft classes are coming up, and that's once a month, usually at noon. And I can tell you right now we have a Journaling Gems Club tonight at 7 o'clock, led by Carrie Wilt. That's a phenomenal circle. She has a method to teach you how to journal that's I don't think anybody's ever heard of before. It's all about growth. Heart to Heart is tomorrow. Prairie Pages, the book club is Wednesday. Tea Thursday is Thursday. Um, and Quick and Easy, that's Becky's class, the Quick and Easy craft and quilting, which is going to be May 3rd at noon. The Quick and
Beautiful.
Easy quilting. Yeah,
Beautiful.
it's really quick and easy patchwork with Becky.
That'll be neat.
So,
I believe my sister would probably really love that. So I can't wait till when we get off here. I'm going to be messaging her with the
and
website and
that's free.
everything. Okay.
That one's free.
Beautiful,
Yep.
beautiful, beautiful. All right. So, thank you, Kim, so much for being here. You're such a pleasure. And, when I haven't talked to you often, but when I have talked to you, you are just such a bubble of personality and kindness and information that I love having conversations with you. So I'm
Thank you.
gonna, my pleasure, my pleasure. So, like I said, thank you for being here. And for everybody that is watching or listening, um, you go to modernprairie.com and definitely check it out. Find Kim Baker in there and friend her or whatever it is you do in there, and or start following her.
It's
But
Kim Bake, not the R, just Bake. I mean, my name is Baker, but on there it's Kim Bake.
Okay, all right, Kim Bake, and
And
so
tag me.
and if you enjoyed this episode, definitely make sure that you like, subscribe, and then share it out because it's such an amazing, amazing thing. Modern Prairie and just Kim's story altogether. And the more we can get it out to people to let them know about what is available, the better off we are, right?
Yes, and Heart Minded Pocket Heroes on Spotify as well. And if anybody's interested in being interviewed, for women aging gracefully over the age of 50, look me up. You can look me up on Instagram and send me a message at Prairie and Kimmy Baker.
All right, beautiful. Well, thank you again for being here. And I'm going to leave everybody with one of my favorite quotes. The best way to predict the future is create it. So, you guys, thank you so much for being here. And like I said, remember to like, subscribe, and share. And I will see you next time. Mwah.